routes and sort of how packages get from A to B and estimates on package dates, and anything to do with our network and the transportation of packages. I do a little bit of front end and back end. So just kind of everything that's thrown at me, and I've been here for about 3 years. Cool. That's me in a nutshell. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Totally. So I'm Julian. I've been a software engineer for about 10 years now. During my career, I've held full stack development roles, so I have experience in front and back end side. And I've usually worked in several industries, mostly the finance sector, the health insurance sector, and also the food space.
Okay.
I've usually held roles remotely like this. And what else? I definitely have worked with JavaScript heavy and Python heavy technologies as well. So I have experience in both.
Cool. Would you say you prefer front end or back end development over each other?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely tend to prefer more backend. I feel that it's less prone to changes when it comes to anything, so I like that more.
Got it. Cool. Well, thanks for the overview. Let me get us to the case study here. So the way this works, so I'm going to give you a link, and it's going to take you to a code space in GitHub. You're welcome to either sign in anonymously on the web page or do whatever option it provides to you. But this will let me see what you're doing.
Okay.
And what the case study is a simulated production incident. One of our tools is not working like we expect it. We're on the hook to fix it. And then once it's fixed, we're also going to be the team responsible for maintaining it. So the way this is going to work is I'll provide the problem, and you can treat me like a pair programmer or a junior engineer to bounce ideas off of. And then we'll go through and see if we can't fix the problem.
Okay. Well, I would say the first question that I have is I cannot see the files.
You can't see the files? Were you able to connect to the session? I don't see you in there.
Was it a live code from the Visual Studio Code, right? Live share.
Yeah.
Let me reopen it.
There you go. All right. And then I should be able to see you in the session if you join it correctly.
It's just loading. Maybe I'll have to open it locally.
Maybe. I can also restart the share session, possibly.
Yeah, it's just stuck at, or maybe some Outlook. Let me see if I have it active.
All right, let me try this one more time. Okay, copied. Try this one. It's a fresh session. And then it should ask you either to sign in or proceed anonymously.
Yeah, now it did.
Cool. Sorry about that.
Now I can see it.
Awesome. So it should have landed you on a README. I'll give a quick summary and then leave you to read through the details. But essentially, we have a Slack bot that runs scripts against our system. And sometimes we have delivery routes that we need to push back a little bit because there's a delay. So we've had this tool for a while. We run it every once in a while to push back a route by like an hour, 90 minutes. But today we had an issue where there was a power outage that meant we had to close a whole facility for a day. So all of our routes have to be pushed back to the next day. The problem is when we run our script with the minutes equivalent to 24 hours, it's not moving the routes that I would expect. And I don't know why. So our job is to diagnose it, fix it, and see if we can't make this a little bit better in the process.
Got it.
Feel free to take a read through. The script and the command that is not working with all the parameters is at the bottom.
This one. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll reread a little bit the README just to get a better insight.
Sure.
Olvida acercar más porque no se ve casi.
Okay. Member.
Pregunte si ya tiene las dependencias instaladas o las instala de una vez. Con npm install, por ejemplo.
Okay, this comes with the dependencies installed, right? Like, can I just run npm?
Yeah. So this script, for the sake of this exercise, gives you a bunch of console logs as output, but doesn't actually mutate anything. So you can run it as many times as you like to highlight what's going on.
Okay.
Bueno, según esto, necesita el contexto del archivo. Ahora src, ahora la carpeta ops, esa, ops, y muéstreme el archivo que se llama boomroads. No sé si está o no. Pues ahora todas las carpetas yo le muestro lo visual. Ahora todas las carpetas. Para mandarle
The name of the meeting, I think.
Ahora las todas. Eso. Eso ahí. Carpetas.
Okay.
Bueno, gracias por compartir. Ahora el adjust rows start time. Eso. Y
Okay, so we have default time, adjust time, just start time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to check what it does in general, getting an overview of
Sure.
it.
vaya bajando. Ahí.
That's it. This is my route ID. Should set that right. Adjust it, time.
¿Dónde está el book y cómo arreglarlo?
Oh. Check. controller that calls my start time from operations.
Mhm.
Okay. One adding minutes. Okay.
Adjust roll start.
Okay, so the first question that I would ask is how did we know that it's not adding it for all of them? How did you realize about it?
So, without looking at any data, basically the people who tried to use this command said they tried to bump all of their routes for the day back 24 hours. But and we know that they had like say they had a lot more than they expected. So in an example, a facility would tell us only 3 of their routes moved, but they had 24 for the day or something like that, which means that something is not right. So we would have expected to see a higher number than was actually changed. So if you see in the logs, only 3 were adjusted. And I know there
Okay.
are more, but I don't have an exact count.
Okay. But you already knew that there was more than 3.
Yes, because that's the issue we were told about, is that
Okay.
it didn't touch everything it should have.
Got it.
But we can probably check if we look at our data.
Yeah. Check if there are fixtures or anything.
Sure.
This is the one.
So that's our view for, I think, the Slackbot integration.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be here on the operation. Adjust route start times.
Sure.
So I was just like trying to get a brief,
Yeah.
like how everything works, how it is processed, what it does.
Getting context, all that jazz.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me see the connection to the database. This is
We are-
db.typescript. That means database, right?
Yeah, we're mocking our database here. So we have a couple of different tables, essentially, facilities and routes.
Got it. These are the facilities.
Ese, yo le tomo un pantallazo de cómo lo hace.
Rename. These are my routes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have facilities. With Ladash, you find filter. Got it.
Cool.
And bus. The event. Added. Start times, blah, 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 from ESO blast days 1.
Entre la Entonces, find routes. El problema real es todo eso, ¿no?
Please find routes.
Ujú.
Bueno, si hay una que hay que corregir en la DB. Ya le mando que se corrija ahí.
Okay. Location. Could be a potential thing to check. But maybe the filter is filtering out the wrong ones. Maybe we
That's
have to fix
possible.
that.
We can put some console logs and see if you want.
Yeah. What's in my route?
Yeah, I don't know why it's error highlighting console. It all should run just fine.
Yeah. Rerun it just to check. I just wanna start checking
Sure.
this is what is being passed down. Got it, got it. Start time. Start the routes. This is printing the routes that I am gonna bump. Good. So when I get my route, checks if pickup location is the same one. And from JavaScript date, start time begins done. Oh wait, where is my terminal? Disappeared.
Hmm?
Oh, my terminal window. I don't know why it disappeared.
Oh, weird. It's still down there. It should be.
Yeah, I just opening it back. I maybe took it way too much down and then it closed.
Ah.
So I had to open it again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think it has to do with the formatting of the dates.
Okay.
Ahí
Check.
esa función.
The time from date. Let me check this thing.
Ahí en la método que le mande se ve un poquito distinto, exacto.
Just to check this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tiene que cambiar la
Those are date time objects there.
Yeah.
Igual se lo vuelvo a mandar para que por si algo pasa.
So this is my object and this is my daytime object.
Hmm.
Got it. Year 2022, 1, 4. This as one is 23. But when it does checks, for example, 24. You cannot have bigger and smaller at the same time, do you?
What do you mean?
So it checks, for example, that the start time is bigger than earliest start time. Oh, but no,
Less than the latest.
Less
Yeah,
than the
it's
latest.
just checking the start time
Yeah.
is between a range of times. And we're looking to move every route that has a start time on the 24th in that facility.
And what if it's the same? I think it is excluding the ones that are the same.
I think it's exclusive, but yeah, so it doesn't have to be identical because anything.
I add this, there is no problem.
I don't think there would be an issue, no. But yeah.
Let me test it just in case if
Cool.
it filters more.
Same result.
Yeah, right. That's not the problem. Okay, then it
So,
returns true.
mhm.
I wanna make sure if this condition is the one that is actually filtering out most of my objects, because if that is the case, then it's only gonna print triage here,
Sure.
right? So let's just push past, and my object gonna be. So I'm just like trying to isolate the entire problem to where the filtering criteria is actually happening. And
Yeah,
if
you
it's
got it.
there,
Recuerda que es console.log, console.log.
yeah, definitely that if. So now I know that I have to modify this.
Well, if the condition looks right, then maybe the parameters are wrong.
That's correct.
Fácil, algo. Pues hasta ahorita dice que corrija eso, pero usted no lo ha puesto tal cual. Le recomiendo que lo vaya poniendo como para ir. Pues sí, disimulando.
I'm gonna leave it inclusive, just to be protective at this point. And check. Maybe time zones, it is not adding.
That's possible.
This one doesn't has a Z appended to it.
So it doesn't have a Z because they're stored local to the facility time zone. It's the
Oh.
-7, -5, right? So they're not in UTC
Okay,
or
okay.
database.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe when I am executing this is not taking the time zones dynamically, and that could be a problem.
Possible.
Okay.
También métale el false. Vea que le falta un return false en la parte de la 110 para abajo.
And what happens if it's not true? I am not returning false, right?
Right. So it's just filtering.
Yeah, I'll return a false just in case.
Okay.
So it could be
Just in case.
returning nulls, and nulls are usually not a good thing. So I want to make sure that it returns false. Not null,
Okay.
not anything different.
Bueno, creo que por ese lado ya. Entonces, ¿por qué no empieza modificando el adjust row de start time controller? Porque ese es el otro archivo que le mandé cambios.
Check here. We have a default
Start time.
time zone, which is today, UTC, but the dates are -07:05.
Okay.
So if have facility has time zone or not, otherwise put the default.
Vea que en el Start of Day UTC, o sea, en el
Oh.
Start of Day, ahí cambia, o sea, en la línea 17 y la 18. Ahí cambia con respecto al código que yo le mandé a usted. Sí, ya le mando qué es lo que pone ahí. Esto que le acabo de mandar.
I think it is not parsing correctly this time zone,
Okay.
and it is always setting the default one. Just for time zone.
El routes también lo cambia.
Console log. Oh, this. Wait, I didn't save it. I think I have to save.
It should pick up pretty automatically, but
It. To activate the autosave.
oh, I see your new log in your last run.
Yeah.
The time zone you printed is America/Denver.
Here I deleted my console logs. Yeah, good. This one is my time zones. Denver, you're right, Denver.
Yeah. So the one you logged was America/Denver on your last run.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the time zone that's attached to the hub we fetched.
Okay. And that's the default time zone, or is that the one that?
No, so if you scroll up, you see the default time zone is America, New York.
Oh yeah, you're right. Then it's correctly parsed.
So, yeah, if you look, I think what's happening, if you look a little lower at the time zone that we logged,
Uh-huh.
that's the time zone attached to the facility, which we also call a hub.
Right.
And that facility probably has a time zone configured, so we're not getting default time zones there.
Oh, got it. Yeah. I was checking that just to make sure that the times are being parsed from the hub facility and not the default one.
Sure.
Why? Because I feel that it is not changing that based on the time zones.
Okay.
And maybe some date parsing on it.
I think that's still a good theory, but I think it may have to do with how we're parsing the dates rather than
Exactly.
fetching
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time zone from the facility.
Got it. Yeah, that's the next thing that I wanted to check. Maybe the from ISO, maybe it has some different format, time
Okay.
format. So this is the next thing that I wanted to check.
Okay.
Okay.
And these date times are from a library that we use to manage our date times called Luxon.
Yeah, definitely check what was parsed here. So you are parsing it from ISO, start date, zone, UTC, and then you set a default time zone. But start date is an ISO date.
Yeah,
That's-
with no time information, right? We didn't pass any like hours or minutes or zones in to the command.
Okay, let me check. Date. I'm gonna check what it's parsing.
Sure.
I think the problem comes here. Definitely. time. One is 0, 0, but this one does have time. Yeah, it's the parsing.
Okay.
I need to parse that. I would say I would pass down the format so that it correctly parses it.
How do you mean?
It's kind of similar but different. Would be something like, I would put it this way: start of a equals the same. I would pass down the format, so it would be like this. Wait, what is the dollar symbol? And then I would pass my start date, but I would have to add zeros to it. I think it's like that.
Interesting.
Es date
So I'm
y
trying to just have a date, single date.
haga el backticks. Cierres un backtick.
That makes some sort of sense. So I think you're close here, but the way Luxon works is a little different than that.
Okay.
So we're already passing a valid ISO string just without time values in start date.
Right.
And when you make an ISO in Luxon, sorry, you make a date time in Luxon from an ISO, if there is no time information, it will fill in to 0
Okay.
in whatever time zone you've configured for it or passed in. Or if there's nothing passed, it's the zone that's local to the machine.
I see. So it would generate the zeros by itself. You are telling me like this
Yeah.
part.
So like if you look, yeah, so if you were to console log today, you could do console log of today.to ISO parentheses.
Oh yeah, to ISO string.
To ISO. Just to ISO. There you go. And that will log the string format of what you're actually parsing. But there's 2 time zone conversions happening there, it looks like. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Let me comment this one first.
Sure.
So this one is parsing. This one is parsing zeros to it, minus 05, which is UTC.
So -5 is not UTC, but that is America, New York.
And I need to pass UTC, right? From what I can get here.
Do you? What are we using it to compare to?
No, we are passing the date and then we are setting the default time zone, which is New York. That's what it's doing.
That's what it's doing currently, yes.
Okay.
Bueno, entonces, si deje esa parte entonces igual y modifique el restante con lo que ya le mandé. Entonces, pues dejarlo así. Si ella dice que es así, entonces dejémoslo así entonces.
About the
Ahora
plus days.
le voy a entregar modificar las variables, el archivo con las variables convertidas, pues. Con el today y el tomorrow, para que lo tengan en mano.
Tomorrow is today plus.
plus 1 day. Yeah, that's a Luxon function.
Then tomorrow. Plus 1. This one could vanish days normally because it's from the date machine, daytime library. And then I have my plus 1, find routes, facility. Start times. Where was my if, by the way?
It's
Was
just
Ese tiene la versión un poquito más simple.
So-
Si les soy muy franco.
let's think about dates for a minute.
Uh-huh.
We are looking for all routes in our, I believe, Denver facility, because we're using facility 1, that start on the 24th. But
Bueno,
everything in the range of the 24th for Denver
times.
is not the same as everything in the 24th for Charlotte, because they're in different time zones, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
Vaya bajando.
our earliest start time that we're parsing,
Uh-huh. Needs to
We
be
would-
adjusted.
we'd
To the
expect it
other
to be the start of the 24th for Denver.
Yeah,
And I
it needs to
don't
be
it's doing that?
adjusted. Choose route the start times.
For today, tomorrow. Find rows. Sí, eso ya. Después sigue crear una variable llamada update count. Update count. Se tiene update routes IDs. If routes. Voy a decir a este marica que más bien haga eso con la estructura que ya existe porque si no me embalo acá, madre.
Excuse me.
Quita la
Sorry, I
consola,
sneezed.
quita la consola y muéstrame el código completo. Eso ahí. Baja un poquito, ahí.
Then it has take from route the start time, set time zone, local string, time full.
Cambia.
See?
So we know that it's not getting every route.
But
So
it's not getting every route because of the filtering that it does at the DB, right?
which is happening a little earlier in the function, right?
Yeah, which is find routes. So this one.
Yeah. So we're not getting everything back from that.
Bueno, ya.
Because today is not the same from Denver than California. So I would have to translate today
Just minutes.
from Denver into California today, which would be a couple of hours
Something like,
behind.
something like that. So we logged today, just a little bit ago on the last run. And in ISO mode, it turned into the 23rd at 1900 in -5, which is America, New York. So that's the 24th in UTC, the start of the 24th in UTC.
Okay.
But we need the start of the 24th
in California, which would be like 23rd
in Denver in this
in
case.
Denver,
Right?
exactly. So I will
So
have to remove a couple of hours or convert it into that.
something like that. Let's take a look at where we're parsing today, right?
Yeah. So
So what's happening in this line? Can you walk me through what you think is happening in each part of the line?
yeah, so here we're taking the start date from our app object. I would say this is a app
Okay.
object that we are passing.
And what does that look like exactly as a string? You can write in a comment above this.
This one looks like an ISO string, which would be like year, month, day, and then
Okay.
time, like that.
So this is just the string we're passing from args, right? And we don't pass
Yeah.
any of the time information. So it's just, it stops at the last day entry. So it would be year, month, day, right?
Yeah. Oh, so we are only passing this. You're telling me.
I believe so, because that's the argument we pass from args when we run the script. You can verify, but that's
Yeah.
what I believe we're working with.
But yeah, you are right.
And then when we make a date time, we're saying that's in UTC, that date.
Yeah. Universal time zone, and then we add the America in New York time
And then
zone
after
for
we
that.
create the time, we shift the
Convert
zero
it.
unit
Yeah, we are
to
converting
America,
it.
New York, neither of which are the right time zone for what we're looking for.
So we should initially pass down the Denver times because we are bumping Denver time. Should I pass down that time zone from their logs? So for example, the parameter should contain the time zone, the correct time zone, so that when it gets parsed into UTC, it's properly converted because it has the time zone that should have been initially passed.
So passing the time zone would have helped, would help. It would be one way to handle it, but you still wouldn't want to convert it to UTC. So that's part of it. But you also don't necessarily have to pass down the time zone. Aren't we getting time zone a little bit later in the function?
Yeah, we are. But then, should I assume that if an argument does not have time zones, I should assume a particular time zone for that time instead of UTC?
So what Luxon does, if you specify the zone, if there's no time value, it'll just assign the zeros. But then the zone that you're creating the date for is specified by this option, or if that option isn't there,
This case, it's
it
UTC.
uses whatever the computer or the server is in.
Uh-huh.
So if we're just getting a start date, but we want to specify it as the start of the day in a specific time zone, what would we do differently?
Yeah, so I see. You're setting UTC by default if there is no time zone.
Right
So
now,
that,
we're just setting UTC no matter what.
exactly. If we are always using UTC,
We aren't, though. We want to be in the time zone of the facility we're looking at, right? Because that's how we store our data.
I would then convert everything that is stored into UTC, which is easier for servers to understand. And then from there, I would do the operations, like adding one or removing one. And then I would just convert it back to the time zone that it was created, or that it was stored.
That would be good if we had the time to build it out, but this is a production issue, meaning someone on the ground needs this to work now, and we can't change all of our data. So what is the proper fix right now to make it work that way?
the proper fix would be to do something like the one that I tried, to turning it into zeros and parsing it manually into the times that we want, with the time zone that we want instead of the UTC.
Okay. So that is the right general idea. I'm going to give you a hint. We find the right time zone later in the same function, but we're not using it to parse today.
Which is half that time zone.
Correct.
Can
The facilities time zone.
So can I just do this and pass down the zone into the proper one?
I think you can move the logic where we find the time zone up, but yes.
Okay. Like so.
And then you have to find the hub before using it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Makes sense.
Okay. And then,
This one sets to half time zone. Then time zone should be passed down here if
yes. And then do we need to set the zone to default time zone there or no?
That's one good question. Why are we using American New York default time zone? Is there any reason for that?
Sure, that's a great question. So right now, we expect that all of our facilities would have a time zone, but this is meant to be a fallback in case it's not set. Most of our business is on the East Coast of North America, and that time zone is America, New York. So if to prevent a full failure, the default is going to be America, New York to make sure that we have some sort of result, even if it's inaccurate. But it's typically not going to be used. Almost never.
I see. Well, I guess if we have our data normalized into America, New York time zone, like if we leave it like that, we can in the long term have normalized daytimes in only one time zone, and that would remove the problem of having different time zones.
So I don't think we actually need it. If you go back to where we're setting the default time zone, because we already have today and we're setting it correctly to that hub time zone, which may also be the default time zone, you don't need to set the zone again.
So this is just like just to prevent errors, I guess. Just in case it does not happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can give it a run, but I think that should fix it. Yep.
I also tried to add the equals here
Mhm.
because maybe it was the same. It can happen sometimes.
Yeah. So if we had something starting at midnight, that would have also been an issue. Both of those are good catches. And with that, we've fixed the incident. Cool.
Yeah.
We are out of time, but if you have any last questions for me, I can stay a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, I would say regarding the test, I definitely like this debugging thing. Maybe I got a little bit confused at the end because I felt a little like nervous, but it's my bad on that. But I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool.
Well, I guess I only have one question. If it comes down to the team, like if I were to be elected, what would be the team size, or how would be like the normal setup of the team?
The way that teams work together at VHO depends on the team. A lot of us are remote, so you wouldn't be alone in that. Every team has their own set of procedures. Usually it's a stand-up daily. We work in a project basis. So we have 1 or 2 projects that the team is working on at any point in time, and you'll focus on one of them. And as you go through, you'll help break down tickets and efforts and just work on those. And that's usually how the day is structured. There doesn't tend to be a ton of extra meetings on top of that, but again, it depends on the individual team you're going to. We all work a little differently.
I see.
But it's mostly remote. There's a lot of use of Slack. There's huddles and Google Meets. We talk to each other, all that jazz.
I see. Got it. I guess that's the only question that I had. My side, it would be good.
Sure. All right. Best of luck on your next one. I think you have one more today. And take care.
Alrighty, Emily. Definitely. Thanks for your time. I really enjoyed the interview.
I'm glad. All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Uy, pa, dígame cómo le fue.
No, pues ella nos ayudó al final con el parseo del time zone, que básicamente me dijo, no, pues tú lo jalas del hub porque el hub viene con un time zone. Se lo pones acá y ya, eso era todo.
Esa mierda.
Ajá. Pero pues es que yo no voy a pensar que alguien vaya a hacer esto. O sea, que alguien tenga esto así,
No, pues yo no.
nadie se va a imaginar que esto esté mal
No, que bueno.
y que lo tenga que poner arriba. ¿Sí me hago entender?
Sí, obvio.
Yo le dije a ella, no, pues exacto, yo intenté primero la que usted hizo, que fue la del 000Z,
Sí.
sí, para asegurarme de que el time zone, pues se lo pongo. Y luego ella me dijo, no, pero hay otra forma y y entonces era esto, que el time zone viene dentro del hub y usted entonces lo setea y se lo pasa allá. Y
uno-
que esto hay que quitarle el set zone. Pero pues eso está como muy rebuscado, si me hago entender.
Sí, porque yo ni sabía que el hub era algo de pues time son la chimba.
Exactamente. O sea, eso ya espera que uno conozca muy bien el proyecto. Y yo, ¿cómo te vas a ver si hace 40 minutos lo acabé de probar?
Pero igual, y la corrección que hizo en el db.ts, ¿qué le dijo de eso?
Ese también, ese yo sí le dije, bueno, de todas maneras yo aquí le agregué un igual, porque puede ocurrir que en algún momento sea exactamente igual y me lo vaya a quitar. Y hay que. Dijo, bueno, sí, se inician a las 12 de la noche, sí. Y pues puede pasar.
Claro. Pues literalmente entonces solo era esas dos pequeñas correcciones,
Esas
estoy
dos,
menos
pero
solo una.
sí, y alcancé a medio obtener la otra, que eran los time zones, pero pues yo no entendía muy bien las reglas del negocio,
No, pues obvio.
que era que pues los datos vienen con time zones diferentes, ¿sí ve?
Sí,
Pero pues esto es muy rebuscado, eso ya es muy del negocio, solo el ingeniero que ya conoce cómo están los datos guardados se va a dar cuenta.
pues obvio. Y más por Lexon, esa librería, apenas me vine a dar cuenta que existe para el tema de manejos de tiempo. Y yo vi que ella le preguntó de esa librería.
Está Luxon,
Esa mierda, sí.
pa, y se lo picharon, y esto dice que era señor de JavaScript, pa, no
¿Qué es
conoce
Luxon,
Luxon,
pues? Oiga, pues que es
no
Luxon,
conoce
¿qué
Luxon.
es Luxon,
El Guillermo no conoce Luxon, pa, la chimba,
¿qué es esa mierda? Oiga, pues,
sepa.
ahí está.
Luxon es una librería para sumar y restar días, pa.
Oigan a esa marica, ¿y por qué usar esa mierda y no el método nativo?
Porque usted en el método nativo no puede decirle súmele días 1.
O sea, solo lo hace como para legibilidad.
Sí, eso por lo que me doy cuenta es como la de Python, que usted puede sumar y restar. Súmele 2 meses, súmele un año y tantos días, cosas así.
Yo recuerdo que había otra librería, Lucite. Creo que era Lucite, no recuerdo. Espera, yo miro cuál era la de. No, mentira, los hay, creo que no era. Una librería que sí es de fechas de React para la chimba.
Sí, pa, bueno, se viene la otra, pa, que esta es de diseño, pa. ¿Cómo la ve, pa? Esta sí es de hablar mierdita, pa.
O sea, es de hablar, de inventarse huevonadas, pa. Y sí, fue puta. Lo que le dijo la señora de ayer, si estudio esa tabla de arquitectura y toda esa huevona. Pa, con eso me dijo todo, pa.
Creo que aquí esta es como que la prueba de hoy.
Entonces,
Customers and drivers. Este.
y agrande la pantalla, marica. No olvida que yo casi nunca.
Va solucionando ese es para dibujar.
¿Sí?
Dígale a que le dibuje eso, sí.
Pero pues. ¿A qué hora
Ya
empieza a
mismo,
hacer?
pa.
¿Ya?
Esas a las 12, claro.
Puta,
Esas- sí. De que diagrama, pa.
¿Con qué putos me sale este marica del conchapán? Pues pa, yo le voy a mandar lo que este marica me mandó. Ah, bueno, acá sí me está mandando lo que quiero.
La imagen, pa, me la envía, pa. Tiene pa.
Recuerde que este marica envía es más texto.
Tiene un minuto, pa. Tiene.
Espere, pa. Oh, es que este marica me pone a. O sea, lea rápido. Ay, güey, puta. Esta mierda, como lo manda, pa.
Guillermo, pa, la chimba. Nada de Guillermo.
Puta. Mejor dicho. Voy a mandar lo que este marica así de totazo me manda.
No, toda esa mierda que envió.
Esa es la 1.
Sale más fácil yo mismo dibujarlo. La chimba.
Igual lo voy a dejar de referencia. Y ya
Bueno, las dos.
vaya entrando.
Ah, yo aquí lo voy a tener más.
Hey, how's it going, Julian?
Oh. Hey, Neil. Pretty good. What about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. How's your day been so far?
It's been doing good. Pretty chilly here. What about your day?
Yeah, it's not too bad here too. Yeah, it's actually a little bit colder here than normal, but yeah, still overall pretty good day.
Got it.
Yeah. So welcome to the architecture and design portion of your interview at Viho. So the way that I like to structure these interviews is to start off with just really brief introductions, just so we get to know each other a little bit more, and after that we can jump into Whimsical and talk a little bit more about like the exercise that we'll have you go through. The majority of the time will be you working through this architecture and design, and then I usually like to leave about like 5 to 10 minutes at the end to turn it over to you to make sure you have to answer any questions that you might have about the role, about Viho, about really anything else related. So how's all that sound?
That sounds good on me, so it's good to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so brief introductions. I'll go first. So my name is Neil Nagersheth. I'm a staff engineer on the driver marketplace team at Viho, and I've been at Viho since April 2022. So it's been 4 years. And throughout my time, I've been pretty much on the marketplace side of Viho. What we consider marketplace is it's many different facets of our delivery for our delivery services and systems. So we are responsible for determining how to make the most optimal routes with the packages that we have. We are also responsible for giving the pricing for those routes to make sure that these routes sell and they're competitive based off of the market conditions and how many packages we need to clear within a day. We're also responsible for getting the scheduling for these routes, so then that way, so in a way, so that the facilities and the warehouses and facilities aren't packed with drivers just immediately. They come on regular waves, and then we're also responsible for the space in the driver mobile app where the drivers have the ability to pick and choose which routes are available to them based off of their duration and their location and the number of stops. So so I've been here for 4 years. I initially didn't think that the logistics space would be that interesting, but there's actually a lot of intriguing problems that I've run into or that we run into as a company that's kind of kept me pretty intellectually stimulated throughout my time here. So yeah, I mean, logistics might sound boring, but I've definitely enjoyed the challenges that it brought on over the last 4 years. So yeah, it's a little bit about me, a little bit about the org that I work for. How about you?
Sure. So I'm Julian. I've been a software engineer for about 10 years now. Usually my roles have been full stack engineer. So I've worked both backend and front-end roles. I usually tend to move towards backend roles more because I feel more intellectually stimulated over there, and I feel that front-end is more prone to changes. I would say I've always worked remotely, usually on the health, finance, and the insurance places. And those have been the three main areas that I've worked with. Usually, sometimes I've had some logistics problems as well. I would say one notable project that I worked for was BlockFi, which was creating a trading system for a cryptocurrency exchange company.
Nice. It's good to hear that you have 10 years of experience. I think that'll definitely help us a lot, and it's cool that you're able to work on BlockFi and different insurance companies and get exposure to a lot of different businesses. So that's awesome. All right, so then let's talk about the architecture and design exercise that we'll have you be doing. So what we have here in Whimsical is a prompt for a notification system. So we want you essentially to design a notification system based off of the requirements that we have in this prompt. We're not looking for one specific right answer for this because there's many ways that you can design a notification system, and we kind of want to see how you go about breaking down an ambiguous problem and figuring out what's actually needed or what's needed and what to design for the system. So we're looking for system level components. So we're not looking for any sort of code or anything like that. We're looking to see what sort of infrastructure elements you would put in to actually support a system like this. So like I said, this is more about trying to break down requirements for an ambiguous task. This is also just testing your knowledge on architectural patterns that we would have, and then just generally getting a gauge on your thought process of how to go about designing a system like this. So if you haven't used Whimsical before, it's pretty straightforward. There's there's a little black bar on the left that has the shapes, and then there's also a connector tool, so you can kind of connect those shapes together, so you can show the relations between one another. It's overall pretty simple, but don't worry too much about making it super pretty. As long as I get the gist of it, that's all that really matters. So So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll turn it over to you now. I'll let you read through the notification system, or if you have any immediate questions, you feel free to ask. Or if you have other questions after you read the prompt, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Got it. Okay, I guess I'll begin reading through it.
Okay.
Some drivers and experience. Okay. So from what I read, I would begin by creating what I call a distributed system approach, which would be event driven. It would trigger different clients. I wouldn't have my notification system in one single project, but like different handlers and an orchestration system. Begin drawing real quick. But it has icons here. Yeah, maybe some device. This would be like clients. This would be the front end layer that pretty much triggers my request. They would hit yeah. I guess I'll have to first create the IP.
Mhm.
Then I will have an API. This would hit my API. It can be a gateway, a normal API, express, equalize, whatever. And this API would be in charge of redirecting my request into the desired notification that I want to send. So if it's an email, if it's a push notification, if it's a webhook where I am subscribed to, if I want to have real-time notifications. So it depends.
Mhm.
It does itself connect. Oh yeah, I understood that. This would be a gateway. Let's put to differentiate it. So once I have my API, I guess I am gonna begin with my adapters. I would have what I would call an adapter layer that would send the different notifications. So let me copy paste this thing. One would be the SMS. You could actually use Twilio or SMS adapter.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, let's put it this way. Put it on green, maybe smaller. Like here. Gateway would redirect this there. Then we would have our second adapter, which would be the push notification. Adapt. The email adapter, you can have the something really basic like Node.js email library or something complex like an SMTP server.
Mhm.
this in another color. Blue. See, would be the this entire thing would be called the I would definitely need a database to store the information and preferences of my users, whether they want to be notified SMS, mobile, email. So it could be a DB, MongoDB. Well, no, not Mongo because there must be relational data here. So maybe a PostgreSQL.
Why do you say needs to be relational?
A relational database uh, where I can link the information between my user and my user preferences. So instead of using MongoDB, I am going to be using PostgreSQL. That matters.
Okay, so like this, so for this database will contain both the user data and their like preferences.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just very small. SQL. SQL, let's put it down. And this would start my user preference. Now let's put user preference. That's specifically what I am going to be taking from here. Of course, that database is going to have more information.
I think it might cut
Stuff.
out. I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying that in this particular case, since I am only caring about the notification system, I would be taking the user preferences from the database.
Mhm.
But there can be more data on the database, like I don't know, the truck that they are driving, the models, whatever, users, passwords. But for this particular case, I only care about preferences.
Mhm.
I might also want to have traceability or logs for my notifications. So I think I would also store logs of what was notified, like an event handler, like X, Y, or Z was notified. So I would add an extra layer of data that is going to be written. It probably is going to be on the same database, but I am just doing it to show that I am going to have a notification story DB. And this would be the data layer, let's put it that way. Right?
Mhm.
Where one is for read and the other one is for write. And write, it's a good way to put that. Do we need periodic emails or stuff like that?
Yeah, there might be times where something gets set on a schedule.
So since we need schedule stuff, we might have to use Redis or RabbitMQ or Amazon SQS or whatever. Message queue, where I can send my periodic tasks that will be triggered by my API as well. So, wait, let's first draw the a rectangle, I guess. This would be my RabbitMQ. Okay. It could be triggered by a library like Celery or some task handling library from the API. Weird. Okay. And let's put it like in yellow. because it means like, there are tasks being triggered there. This would cover the schedule as messaging rules, yeah, which could trigger. And my RabbitIn queue would store a message queue. Let's put like a little line here that defines my message queue. So what does it have as a message queue? Maybe small here. Such queue. And you could even extend it further to, send, pending, like having different states of my notifications. That would, of course, scale a little bit more, but just for simplicity, I'm just gonna put it that way. It just sends right away. There is no retries, no anything like that.
Mhm.
Let me think. I think the email adapter, going back here to my channel adapters. Email. Okay, each one of them have different services, so I am gonna put them a rectangle here. So the email service an SMTP. SMTP server.
O sea, hacer planes.
Bandwidth could be 1 or whatever, but we need an SMTP to send this stuff. The push notification can be something like Firebase Cloud Messaging or Amazon SNS or whatever. I'm just gonna put an example here. And it will be mostly for phones. So I am gonna put Android. The idea is usually mostly on devices that receive push notifications.
Mhm.
SNS. And Twilio, I had it here. Let's just put it here like a little cloud, just to make sure that it's an external service. Oh. Yeah, or SMS service. My channel adapter would connect to it. My channel layer would connect to it based on what is done. And this would be on my API gateway, which has each of the adapters, right? This layer, I forgot to name this layer. This is the queue layer, or I guess the message layer. Sounds better, or message queue, or whatever. Let me check what else I'm missing. I think I am missing event-based one. I have SMS, mobile, email, soft, real time. Well, that could be triggered by SNS, so not really big deal. Notifications can be triggered by system events, so I would have, and my scheduler is missing as well. Recipients opt in, opt out, that is read from here. Select notification method would be again read by the user preferences. Yeah, I think I would add here my task scheduler service, which is different than a normal thing. So one rectangle. Scheduler service, which would read from my message queue, and based on that, it would stuff like blue. Good. So
Yeah, so can you walk me through how an event kind of flows through? So for example, we have like a couple example events right here. Like how would the package delivered event kind of flow through the system?
a catch deliver, you said?
Yeah, package delivered event, yeah.
Okay, so if a package was delivered, it would hit the API gateway first, where it would orchestrate or redirect my request based on it. In this case, a package deliver is an event-based notification. So it would probably go through the push notification adapter and then send it to the client that is registered to it. Actually, before sending a notification, I would read the preferences of the user, right? And based on the notifications that the package delivered event would be sent these throughout my adapters.
Yeah,
So-
so for like the client layer, for when a package is delivered, right? So we have an API entry point for the notification. So is the
Exactly.
client supposed to the client's going to tell our backend, right, that this package is delivered, and like, you know, it's going to update like that package data in our database and like in our package service to say that, like, you know, this package has now been delivered, and you know, here's the link to these photos. So you're saying with this approach,
pero el pago te va a llegar la próxima semana, ¿vale? Ya me acaban de confirmar esto en la parte de compras. Entonces, ya la próxima semana te va a llegar. Bueno, esta semana no se pudo. Ya la próxima. ¿vale?
No, the client would only need to update the state of the package delivered, which would update my database, right? And my API would trigger that on success. So once the state of my package is delivered, let's say, once the status was changed by that, it would trigger an event. Since I said it was going to be event driven, it would trigger an event to send notifications. What would the send notification method do inside the API? The send notification method would then check the user preferences, and based on that, it would send the notifications. So maybe I was not able to model it here, but inside my API, I would have a send notification method that would be in charge of reading the user preferences and sending the email. Now, when it comes to which method is calling that send notification method, it would be on a state update. So when I hit my put, let's say my put endpoint updating the status of it, I would have another line that calls send notification for X user, and that would handle all of the orchestration of my notification system.
okay, I gotcha. So this API gate, so it's not the client that's triggering the notification, it's the delivery of the package that's
Exactly.
okay. So the client's triggering the delivery of the package, and then the that will fire off an event for
That's correct.
okay. So this is actually being triggered by an event and not necessarily the API gateway.
Yeah, I would say it's an event.
Okay, gotcha. How, like, when this, like, let's say like we fetch like the user preferences, and like and we determine that they want all the they want an SMS, they want a push, and they want an email. how, would the system handle that like one after the other, or would it kind of fire them all off in parallel?
They would be async operations because they are non-blocking operations for my API per se. Like I am not calculating anything. So I would just send async await requests to each of the clients and send them in parallel because I am not relying on the response of them for any other operation.
Gotcha. So okay, so then talking a little bit more about this. Let's say a user wants the SMS push notification and email adapt or sorry, SMS push and then email notifications. Let's say the SMS and email succeeded, but the push notification we failed to send out a push notification. How does the system kind of handle that scenario?
I would definitely have a defined retry policy criteria. Maybe, I don't know, 3 retries and certain timeout, the amount of seconds for it, so that I can, well, at least try to retry. If it successfully was sent after a couple of retries, maybe it was just a lost package at the first try. If it was not, maybe after 3 retries and certain amount of wait, it means that maybe the client was disconnected, or yeah, it was not connected to it. I could report an incident on it. That's why I have my notification history DB, because it could work as a monitoring tool in the future to sort of create alerts or an alerting system if I need it in the future, which was what I didn't model here.
Gotcha. Okay, so like the notification history, is that gonna track like each individual like message that was successfully sent or a message that like failed to send, regardless?
Well, in this current scenario where I planted it, it's only gonna be storing events that trigger a notification. So it says I send notification XYZ at X time via adapters, but it can be definitely scaled into notification statuses. So if I add, let's say, pending, received, sent statuses, that would definitely increase the amount of monitoring tracking system that I can have, but it's also going to scale because I would need to then include these states as extra events to be considered. So here, just for simplicity, I just left it as a plain data that was stored there, like X notification was sent and which adapter, and that was it. But you can definitely scale it if you add the states into it.
Gotcha. So let's say we get a huge influx of requests. Like let's say we like 10x our load overnight. What would be like the things that would potentially break in this architecture?
Well, not having a status of it would definitely break, because I don't know if my notifications were sent or not. It could overwhelm the server. And if I don't have the ability to track the status of my notifications, whether they were received, not received, I don't know if my clients received them, right? That's one of the biggest thing. I think, well, you can, in theory, scale horizontally by checking the CPU, and if it's getting to the top, then creating another instance, but that's not optimal. So in that case, if it gets big, you definitely need to add the statuses to your notifications, so you can keep track of every single request of it.
Yeah, but I guess so. What specifically though? Specifically, like in these systems, though, what would be the first thing that would break? Would it be the fetching of the user preferences, or would it be the sending of like the different transport mechanisms? What would actually, or would it be like to the point of like the gateway?
The failure point. I would say it can fail over the adapter layer if I don't have the proper handling of it. If I am maybe sending too many async await requests and some of them get dropped out because my services think they are bad actors. For example, I don't have control over what Twilio receives or not receives. They can have a certain amount of requests per second to be sent over their services. The same happens with Amazon and with the SMTP server. I could control mine, and in my case, I could control it by the amount of CPU and server resources that I am using. But definitely when it comes to external services, I don't know which ones are being processed and which ones are not.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So let's say so in this example, like we've 10x our volume. Let's say we notice that the time, like the time to get like a user preferences, like that response times like dramatically increases. What can we do to kind of fix that?
The first thing that I would try to do is creating some throttling mechanism so that I send X amount of requests per second to my services so that I don't get throttled by them maybe in the future, because that would be worse if I am not able to process after X amount of minutes. So I don't want to get blacklisted by my services. So my first measure is going to be throttling so that I send chunks of data. My second part would be checking my own requests, the ones that I am receiving from my API. Why? Because I cannot take those 10x requests as clear inputs. They could be bad actors as well. So I would need to check that the traffic that is coming into my service is reliable. So I could add some throttling there as well. Like maybe if one single IP is sending 1,000 requests per second, that is not normal user behavior. So I could add throttling per IP as well, per client. When it comes to user preferences, all of that, I could add a cache layer, maybe Elasticsearch or something like that, so that it gets faster. So those would be my measurements initially.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, so that's how you'd go about like scaling this, so that way we can still read from this database. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. What about the API gateway? What can we do to scale that if we start to see like a lot of like if we start to see like huge spikes of latency between like the mobile app and the the app and the API gateway?
Okay, if my API is getting slow, well, I could try initially as a quick fix to create another instance and scale horizontally, because my API is not really reliant on itself. It's just orchestrating requests to adapters, so it doesn't matter if I have 2 or 3 instances of it. But that would be just initially. If it keeps us spiking, then I would have to check for the nature of the traffic again. And if it's normal traffic, I could start using my queues to start creating tasks about notifications to be processed, so they don't get forgotten, but they also are not sent all at once.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. How do we prevent duplicate messages from being sent out? So, like, what I'm asking is, like, how do we prevent like a package like something like package deliver that? How do we prevent it from like prevent us from like sending like potentially like 2 push notifications or like 2 emails or multiple of that, because we'd want we'd only want, like, if if package is delivered, we just want to notify that single customer, and we wouldn't want to like keep annoying them with
Well, since we are using async await operations here, I think I would treat this as a payment system where I would make sure that my system has idempotency, it's what they call. So I would create an ID of a task or a notification to be processed per user or per event. So if I send a second notification event, I would check first if there are not pending events for that ID or that particular user. And if there is already one, then I would just return the state of that particular processing state instead of creating a new request. So I would check first for to be processed things and apply some idempotency, but to the notifications.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. For the queuing that you have, actually, let me rephrase this question. So for the queuing that you have, would it be the responsibility of the systems that are calling into or the systems that are outside of like the notification system to determine like when to actually send the message or when to send the notifications, or would it be the notifications system itself that's kind of responsible for that?
I would say the notification system would be responsible for that. Why? Because I want to have control over the amount of messages that I am sending to my third-party services. As I said, I don't want to be able to have no control over the amount of messages that I am sending to my third-party clients, because I do not want to get blacklisted. I think that's crucial to my notification system. So I would like to have control over what I am sending and what I am not. I would not give it like free way to just send the stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. How do we go about understanding like that the health of this like notification system is actually working as we expect?
That's where logging and monitoring comes in place. I didn't add it there, but definitely I want to have checkers for latency, for CPU usage, and even the amount of read and write operations on my notification DB and user preferences. I think those are good monitoring values that I can use to create alerts based on that, because they pretty much give me a general overview of the health of my entire system.
Gotcha. Okay. So thinking about this more though, like let's say the package delivered events, let's say that only has like, or yeah, let's say the data that we have is or actually no, let's talk about routes available.
Okay.
So let's say like routes available only has like this set of data. So let me kind of draw it out here.
Okay.
Oh, that came out uglier than I wanted it, but okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, so let's say the routes available had this sort of event API. How would we go about like determining who should be notified? And we can assume that every driver is at least assigned one facility, and that yeah, actually, for the purpose of this, we can say that every driver is assigned to exactly one facility. So how do we go about like notifying all the relevant drivers about the unsold routes that we have?
For this particular scenario, I think the notification is a little bit different. I would handle a subscription-based notification system. Why? Because I want to notify all the people that is subscribed to an event. In this case, it would be the event of being assigned a route, right? So if you have X route assigned to you, you are a subscriber. So I would have a subscriber-based notification system, and all of my users would be subscribed to certain notifications. Let's put it that way. The only thing that I would have to do is just trigger the notification and send it to my subscribers. So it's simpler.
So let me backtrack a little bit. Routes available. This event actually doesn't signify when a driver is assigned a route. This signifies that like routes are available to claim for the driver. So the way that this usually works is that like the night before, we'll send out like the routes that are actually available for the next day. So then drivers will be able to claim and look at routes for tomorrow. Or sorry, they'd be able to look at those routes at tonight, and then they would show up to the warehouse tomorrow to deliver those packages. So with that, knowing that in mind, and knowing that every user is only attached to a single facility, how do we go? What would be the best way to get like the data, or what would be the best way to get the users that we need to notify when this event comes in?
I would say the users that have not been assigned the route to are interested on it. So I could notify with their status. I would have to check for users that have not had a route assigned. So that way I can send them the notifications, and I would do it based on that filtered criteria. It could be a cron job, so that I don't do it every single time.
What? It would be a cron job. So, why would it be why would you want it to be a cron job in this case?
Because if I do it in real time, it's gonna be definitely way too heavy for my API, and I feel that it's not something that needs necessarily to be sent like all the time like a trading system. I think it's something that you can send in chunks of periods, like let's say each 10 minutes or stuff like that, and the data is not necessarily millisecond sensitive, so I can have that and make my architecture more simple.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left in this interview block. Want to make sure that you had some. Wanted to make sure that I gave you some time so that you can ask questions about this role, about VHO, or about really just anything else. So, yeah. So, what kind of questions you got?
Sure, Nell. I guess I only have one question. It would be if do you know if this project is mature? What would be the state of it? If I were to be hired, what would be maybe my responsibilities on it?
Yeah, so I think you'd be on the billing team.
Okay.
So I actually don't like it for the since I work on Driver Marketplace, I don't actually interface too much with the billing team, and I actually don't know off the top of my head what their next projects or the next projects that they have in lined up. But I do know that beyond I do know that billing's a really interesting domain just because we have a very dynamic way of quoting clients and billing and billing them as well based off of based off of different scenario, or based off of like their package volumes, the type of packages that they need, the requirements for their packages. So like they might want like a package that like if they have a package that requires a signature, that'll also like affect like the billing as well. So there's a lot of like really interesting problems within the billing space. I specifically, I don't know off the top of my head of like what the projects they're working on, but I can definitely say that the projects are definitely interesting and definitely intriguing. So yeah, that's what I can mostly say about that in terms of like the knowledge that I have around like that team.
I see. Okay, I guess aside from that, I don't have any extra questions, so it's good on my end.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, that's the case. We can end with just 3 minutes to spare. I think I don't know if this is your last interview or if you still have one more interview left. Have you? Or
I think it's my last one for today.
okay,
Today I
so
had 3, so it was my
yeah,
last.
yeah. So then this is your last one. Okay, so then yeah. You're free to go. We'll everyone that's interviewed you will submit their feedback, and then we'll all discuss the feedback, and then I forgot which recruiter you're working for, or we're working with, but they'll get back to you and like talk about potential next steps after this feedback session. So
Okay.
yeah, it was great talking with you. It was great seeing you work through this, and yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Alrighty, Nell. It was also great having a good time with you, so I hope you have a good day as well.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Entonces, pa,
Esta estuvo más breve.
entonces, pa. Sí, esta estuvo buena, la verdad.
Claro.